Welcome to episode number 18 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I'm your host, Bill Petrie, playing a little hurt today, still getting over the cold I had last week when I spoke with Meg Erber, but we push through here at the Between Two Brands podcast. But hey, before we get rolling, let's pay a bill or two, shall we? Hey, in 2025, your clients are looking for more than just a product with their logo on it. They're looking for rock solid merchandise solutions that are more than just innovative. They're going to be used for months and even years to come. Let me introduce you, or maybe in some cases, reintroduce you to the good folks over at Coaster Stone. They are the original manufacturer of absorbent stone coasters with unmatched durability, quality, and gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous, edge to edge decorating that allow your creative designs to come to life in vibrant full color detail. Now, since 1983, Coaster Stone has set the standard when it comes to delivering a retail-inspired experience to any client function. Instead of boring and plain packaging, who wants that? How about packaging options that are customizable? Coaster Stone delivers value far beyond the product itself. Now, also, did you know that they manufacture their pinback buttons right here in the USA? Well, they do, and it's an ideal, cost effective, tariff free, and fun piece of branded merchandise for your clients. Now, with that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, cost per impression, and unmatched value, David Glenn and his team are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Email them at promo@coasterstone.com to start your next project today. Yeah, so I think I mentioned last week. In fact, I know I mentioned last week as a matter of course. I got all bored for a second, so it's made me stumble. Uh, I mentioned last week I was not feeling well. Truth be told, I recorded that podcast episode yesterday on May the 7th. I'm recording this on May the 8th because my guest, who we'll get to in just a little bit, had some scheduling conflicts, wanted this person on the podcast, so absolutely happy to accommodate. So I'm still getting over my cold. By the time this drops, I'm hoping it's well gone. But so I hope you'll forgive my stoved up voice and the occasional cough or, heaven forbid, a sneeze. Before we get to our guest, I did want to talk about something. I wrote this down. We've really seen a very interesting, in my opinion, evolution of the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer. And I'm wondering if that role might need a little bit of an update. Now, marketing today has evolved from where it was 5 years ago. And I feel like the CMO role is really stuck in the past because CMOs are responsible for more than just advertising and branding. They're responsible for customer acquisition, data analytics, AI integration, customer user experience design, a bunch of things that traditionally haven't been part of the chief marketing officer role. And the challenge is there's so much scope, and I don't know if the structure's there to really support that. And what we're seeing now is a rise of these new C-suite titles that would have been unheard of 5, 10 years ago. The chief customer officer, the chief growth officer, the chief revenue officer, the chief experience officer, and so on. Now, many of these titles, though, overlap the traditional CMO role, and heck, in some cases, they might even replace them. So it really begs the question, are we solving the right problems with new titles, or are we just creating internal branding confusion? Now, my initial thought is we're creating some internal branding confusion. There was a large distributor that's going to go unnamed, but they had a chief marketing officer, and then they hired a chief branding officer, which, I'm sure the management ownership knows exactly what they're doing. I have no doubt about that. But from the outside looking in, it was a very confusing dichotomy where it seemed like you'd have, unfortunately, two people kind of fighting over the same territory. And I don't think you really ever really want that in your company, especially in management positions. So I think it's time to rethink the entire role. I think it's finally time for companies to really evaluate the structure and scope of the chief marketing officer role, not just rename it. I think it's time to reassess the goals and performance metrics. Those have changed. Those have changed radically, and we can really measure actual data now in marketing to see what's working and what's not. And most importantly, allow us as marketers to pivot when things aren't working and pivot quickly. I think we need to clarify the responsibilities in relation to the other executives. I just talked about a company that has a chief branding officer and a chief marketing officer. Man, if those lines aren't clearly drawn, you're going to have some real challenges in terms of who's running what, and it's going to create such internal chaos and confusion. I don't think that's good for anybody. And the last is you have to ensure you're aligned with the company's overall strategy. Sometimes we, the global we try to move so fast because we feel if we're not moving fast enough, we're going to get left behind. And in some cases, that's absolutely true. But there are times where we're moving so fast, we're not thinking about the implications or the domino effect of the decisions we're making. So those are the three things I thought of. I probably should go deeper on that, but I'm not going to because my podcast, my rules. But here's an ask I would challenge yourself. If you have a chief marketing officer, even if you're a small company, if you're the whoever's in charge of marketing, is that role designed for today and what today's audience is demanding? What data analytics you can get to measure the effectiveness? Is it designed for today, or is it stuck in yesterday? And I'd love to hear from you guys. I work with a lot of distributors. I work with a lot of suppliers. Heck, I even work with a few service providers, and I have a couple clients outside the industry. I would love to know how the chief marketing officer, how you've seen that role evolve, whether it's in your internal organization or if it's in companies where you partner with to provide branded merchandise. I would absolutely love to know that. Something else I'd love to do is read our next sponsor. Hey, do you know what season it is? Well, for me, it's cold season, clearly. But for most of us, it's business valuation season. Now, perhaps you don't know what your company's worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since your last valuation, and you need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, you might want to see if it's even time to sell your business. Now, regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and the experts over at Certified Marketing Consultants, they have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. All you need to do, easy as pie, you email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right, well, today's guest, as usual, needs no introduction, but also, as usual, I prefer to waste her time, my time, and your time by introducing her anyway. Our guest today needs no introduction, which I've already read, which tells you I'm still sick and I'm still have brain fog. Hey, she is a recognized sales leader at BAMKO and one of the promotional products industry's boldest voices. Named a 2024 PPAI Rising Star and ranked number 2 in the PPAI Online 18 of top industry influencers. She blends strategic insight with theatrical, humor-driven content that resonates with corporate marketers and brand buyers. What the hell is she doing on this podcast? In 2025, she was honored with the T. Hamilton Memorial Creative Woman Award as part of the Powerhouse Women promo list, recognizing her exceptional creativity and leadership in the industry. Want to hear more about that list? I've never heard of it. As the vice president of the Houston Promotional Products Association and founding force behind Co-Creative Exchange, she continues to shape the future of community and collaboration in the industry. Her specialties include luxury travel, gifting, and on-site activations that leave lasting impressions. Based in Houston, my least favorite city in the world, because I'm from Dallas, and that's just the way it has to be. She also mentors and coaches distributors, especially those overwhelmed by the demands of digital marketing, to grow with confidence and creativity when she's not building bold brand experiences. She's a proud mom to three kids and enjoys traveling, laughing, and making memories with friends and family. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the one and only Natalie O'Leary to the podcast. Natalie, after reading an intro like that, I wonder what in heaven's name are you doing slumming it on my dumb podcast?
I am just tickled pink to be here, Bill. I'm excited to chat.
Well, chat away then. You have some topics you want to talk about before we get to know you a little bit better with some 5 easy questions?
I
Okay.
do. Okay, so first off wanted to just ask you about who, as a kid, for
Mhm.
you, was like an icon or a hero or someone that you looked up to, outside of your inner circle, like outside of your family and your friends, like,
Yeah.
who was that for you?
Um, okay. I'll give you two examples. Number one
Okay.
is from the sports world. I've always been
Okay.
fascinated. I love sports. I grew up in Texas. We referenced that earlier. So football is my greatest passion. And
Mm-hmm.
I always liked under the radar football players that worked their ass off and succeeded. And
Yeah.
so number one was Bill Bates for me, a very unheralded safety out of Tennessee who was, I think he was an undrafted free agent by the Cowboys and just play. I mean, the guy had a motor. So he started off on special teams, first guy down the field on a kickoff, making tackles. And I just like that. And I think it's an analogy for my life. I've never been the smartest. I've never been the most creative, never been the fastest. But I made a commitment to myself years ago that no one will ever outwork me. And so Bill Bates is the first one that comes to mind from a business world.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easy to like lean into Steve Jobs or something like that. I lean more into probably a Seth Godin from a marketing perspective. I've always appreciated his very I wouldn't say homespun, that's a little too hokey, but his very approachable approach to marketing, that it
Yeah.
is for everybody, that it's not this inaccessible thing that only a select few could really understand. He made marketing for me when I was mid-career, having been in sales for years and years and years, but I felt I had an aptitude in marketing, even though I didn't study it in college. He made it feel so accessible to someone like me that I could have a voice. And so I look to Seth Godin as that part of an inspiration for me. What about you? Who did you look up to outside your family?
Yeah, that's kind of why this question came to be as I was thinking about what I wanted to bring today because just this last weekend, my kids and I, it was like Sunday morning, we were kind of hanging low and we're looking for something to put on for them. And I passed across the show that I grew up loving as a child, which was I Love Lucy. It was back in the Nick at Night days, Bewitched, I Love Lucy, all a bunch of iconic female actors, in fact. But Lucy was always it for me. I did my research project on her in sixth grade. She popped back up in college when I was in a communication studies class, and it just kind of like made me have this aha moment that her comedic influence and her success as a person in not only show business but behind the scenes, like she was one of the first, a pioneer in the
Mhm.
world of television. And it just really, it made me realize like, wow, like her influence like had a major impact on me as a kid, but I've kind of carried that over to what I'm doing now. So anyway, and my kids are loving it too. So yeah, she was it for me and still is to this day. Also, she was 40, which I realized this weekend when she started the I Love Lucy show, which I was like, whoa, okay. So yeah, what they say is true. 40 is kind of like just the beginning, which I
Yeah,
am almost 40. So
well, it's true. I mean, heck, I've reinvented myself several times. I mean, I'm
yeah,
55 and so, it's never too late to start
right.
something new. And
Yes.
I love the fact that Lucille Ball is kind of that for you. And I
Yeah.
could have gone a million different directions. I mean, but I love the question. I love the question.
Awesome. Okay, well, I just have one more, and it's pretty easy. So I know you love your cocktails. So I just had a
I
question,
do.
sort of regarding that. Well, me too. I love a good craft cocktail. So if your brand strategy session were a drink,
hmm
would it be served like in a coupe glass, or more of like a solo cup, or something maybe in between that I didn't think of?
So you're asking the vessel that my particular branding cocktail would be served in, correct?
Right.
Always, 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 always a rocks glass. There's
Okay.
something quiet. There is, first of all, you can is multi-useful. It can
Okay.
hold an old fashioned. It can hold whiskey neat. It could hold a pisco sour. It could hold a gin and tonic. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
versatile from that perspective. Plus, there's something. very quietly elegant about a well-crafted rocks glass. And this isn't a humble brag. This is somebody told me when they said, what I like about you and the way you put your own personal brand out there is there's a quiet elegance to it. And that always resonated with me because I do feel uncomfortable saying, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. I really don't. If you look back on anything I've ever done, if I do it with a partner, it's always that person and me. I just don't feel
Hmm.
comfortable tooting my own horn. I'm terrible at it. And so I think there's a quiet elegance to that. Oh, great rocks glass. Plus, it's just cool and timeless.
Agreed. Yes. Okay, great answer. Well, that was my
What about
my
you?
second.
You're not off
Oh.
the hook yet. What about you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I do love a coupe glass. Sort of just the style of the time period that those were introduced, like, the whenever it even was, what, the 20s, 30s, 40s. I
Yeah,
just
it'd be the
always been
Roaring Twenties, a
fascinated.
thousand percent.
Yeah,
Yeah, Roaring
I've just
Twenties.
always been fascinated with that time period. And so um, that's at least my favorite drinkware piece to sip a crafted cocktail out of. 100% would be the coupe glass.
That
Yeah.
that would have been my second choice because I don't care who you are. You're so full of shit if you say a martini glass is elegant or useful. It is the least effective piece of drinkware on the planet. It's fragile. It's hard to
Mm.
drink out of. Everybody's always holding it like they're scared to spill it. It's just not a great glass.
That is true. Yeah. Yep, I agree.
All right, love the questions. Now I have some very easy questions for you.
Oh, that looks long. Okay.
No, 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 no. All right. Question number A. You attended LSU. I went to Texas A&M. Two proud SEC schools with rich traditions, fiercely loyal alumni, and wildly different vibes. So here's my question.
Okay.
Do you genuinely believe that the correct way to prepare for a football game is cooking gumbo in a parking lot while wearing purple and gold beads? Or would you prefer something more refined, like thousands of maroon clad introverts practicing synchronized yelling while watching five people in denim overalls under military grade lighting?
Oh. All I have to say is go Tigers.
Oh.
Absolutely, 1000% would I rather be sitting among 100-year-old oak trees, watching a gator rotisserie on a pit. Yeah, that is it for me. I'm staring at my degree on the wall back behind me and just thinking about the days of getting to do that for 4 glorious years. There is no doubt about it. But I will say, obviously, mad respect for Texas A&M and all that your traditions hold. I think it's really unique and cool. I won't let my husband hear that because he is a diehard Longhorn. So sorry, honey. But I mean, obviously, I am a huge. We're a house divided in this family. In fact, I even have a
Understand?
flag that I bought online that's half UT, half LSU. So,
Yep.
yeah, for me, I'm a very proud Tiger, and yeah, I'll bleed purple and
And
gold until I
and you should. And I will tell you where you guys absolutely hands down have A&M beat is the food. Gumbo,
die.
a mud
I
bug
make a hell of
boil.
a gumbo, Bill, I might
I'm
add.
sure you do.
I thought about having a pop-up gumbo stand when I lived in Houston in the Heights. I was gonna call it Nat's Gumbo to go, but I decided to
I
go with the
have
fries.
no doubt that you could outcook me any day of the week. But I love, and my kids go to SEC schools. I said one kid
Yeah,
now. I have twins, one that just graduated from Alabama, and one that's going to graduate in December from Mississippi State with an engineering degree. So and I went to Texas A&M before it was an SEC school. So I
right.
desperately want to get to Death Valley to see a game. I've
Oh,
never seen one there.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
desperately want to do that. I desperately want
yeah.
to do
You
that.
got to.
Okay.
You have to.
Quick follow-up. If LSU is retail inspired merch with flavor and flair, is A&M simply a blank Gildan tee or with a QR code to join a cult?
That is that is great. No, no. It's just like you said, setting up the question, it's just a completely different thing. It's a completely
Yeah.
different vibe. I would say it's more of like, a next level tea and a Bella tea, so similar in a lot of ways and just very different in a lot of other ways. So,
Absolutely. All right. Question number two. You were a 2024 PPA Rising Star. Congratulations again on that. I'd like to know what that moment was like for you. And also, did you feel even a little guilty standing next to me, a man clearly entering the slowly turning into industry folklore phase of his career?
well, I laugh because someone in that same very class of 2024 Rising Stars was a mere 19. As I mentioned earlier, I will be 40 in October. So I was by far and away the grandma of the group, but so many amazing people. We were actually texting this week, like we stay in touch, and I am just truly honored. I was extremely honored to be, to receive that acknowledgement and then just to be among a lot of great people in our industry. They're doing really great things. The moment for me was just very emotional, honestly. Like I love it because that's something that's voted on by your peers. And
Hmm.
when I was sent the information that I had been selected, there were people copied on the email who had voted for me, and there were a couple that I didn't even know. So that for me was just super rewarding and sweet, and I'm really just very proud to be a part of that group.
As you should. And I happened to be at LDC Leadership Development Conference this
Yeah,
past year. PPA, I was dumb enough to have me speak. So I got to see everybody there. And it's always, as someone on the backside of his career, it's so encouraging for me to see such bright folks who care so much about not only their own success, because you should care about your own success, but also the success of everybody else and in the industry. It's just the overall industry. It was a
sure.
great group. And so you have a great group there. Great group there. All
Yeah.
right. Natalie, let's talk about something that I wanted to ask you about because I do follow you on Instagram. So
Okay.
this is a something that I thought about. Let's talk about a soul crushing moment in the industry.
Okay.
You spend hours curating the perfect branded merch ideas, mood boards, sourcing, strategy, the whole vision. Your client says, "Oh my God, I love this," and then vanishes into the ether and buys it from their cousin's roommate side hustle called Swag Daddy for less. What do you do in that moment? A, scream into a pillow, complete with a branded pillowcase, of course. B, send a bill titled Creative Services You Stole. Or C, use AI to create the Idea Poacher 3000, perfect for clients who want your ideas but not your invoice.
Well, I love a good use of AI. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're referencing a post I did this week actually, because there's a trending audio that's like really funny, and I've
Yep.
seen it used a lot of different ways in a lot of different types of industry. So go check it out. But it's basically this woman saying that was rude. That was really freaking rude. And my caption was, when you follow me for creative ideas and then you order elsewhere. And
Yeah.
I post that really resonated with me because I was just talking, I think it was last week at our HPPA Spring Swing show in Houston, to another distributor friend about that very thing, where, yeah, you do all this work, and you put yourself out there and put creative ideas out there, and then but they go to the big box
Mhm.
online stores like to buy things, and so it can be very soul crushing for sure. But I chalk it up to, I'm out here to give people inspiration and sort of a peek behind the curtain of what we do. So
Mhm.
I that's like par for the course, and I understand it. But at the end of the day, I have definitely gained clients, and I think what I'm doing is working to better establish who I am and what I do and what I bring to the table. So at it's working one way or another, and it's going to happen. You can't win them all.
Uh, No, absolutely. And I actually love that post you put out there because I remember back a billion years ago when I was actually selling promo. it would drive me nuts because back then, there wasn't social media. And so I
Yeah.
would go and present an idea, and then, they would take that idea and price it out to other distributors. And I remember, and I came with a whole pitch of, I would tell clients, look, if you call me and you say, hey, I want this Bic click stick pen and I need 1,000 of them, what's your
Yeah.
best price? And I give you my best price. You should shop that around. I didn't do any work. All I did was give you a price.
Hmm.
However, if you say, I'm attending a trade show, here's my budget, here's my audience, and you and I joint venture and we jointly decide that
Yeah.
that same pen, that same Bic click stick pen is the right vehicle, I absolutely expect you to buy it from me. And if you
Hmm.
can't agree to that, I don't want to do
Yeah.
business with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said in my post at the end, you are taking away from like a person and their business and their family and their wallet, like by going to a big box online place or whatnot. And it's
Yeah.
we all know that it's about the relationship, and it's that's what we're all trying to build with our client base. And so you would just hope they can reciprocate and give you the business that you're working for. So yeah,
No,
not always the
I
case, but
really,
that's the hope.
I really did love that though. I did love that. All right, we're almost done. Two more
Okay.
questions. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
We both serve on GRAC, which is the Government Relations Action Committee, which means we're technically government adjacent, right? All right. What's the nerdiest thing you've done for the industry that made you go, "Oh wow, I'm really into legislative policy now and I love it."
The nerdiest thing I've done. Gosh. No, I don't know that I can think of anything nerdy that I've done, but when the opportunity came about, I really honestly looked at it as a way to learn more about the governmental policy in our industry. It's not something, just quite honestly and transparently, that
Mhm.
I've thought a lot about or been involved in, but what an opportunity to learn more, which I'm constantly trying to do in any part of what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm super excited to join the group with you and so many others, and hope I can continue to contribute.
Yeah, it's my I think what PPAI does in terms of government relations, especially lead and things like that. And unfortunately, I couldn't go this year, first time in like 10
Yeah,
years.
same.
But that is maybe the most important thing PPAI does, advocate for
Mm,
small businesses
yeah,
through the lens of branded merchandise. So I love
yeah,
that. And I love that you're involved. And so that's awesome. All right, last
yeah.
question. This is the tough one. I
Okay.
bra I'm telling you it's tough. Brace for impact. You're infamous in the industry for your karaoke skills, like the kind of voice that makes people stop mid-mojito and cancel their upcoming turn. You've won contests, dominated stages. You've made Don't Stop Believin' feel like a TED Talk. So here's my question for you, Natalie. At what
Mhm.
point did you realize that your true legacy and promo wouldn't be creative merchandise or serving on the GRAC board or at HPPA, but absolutely uniting all other singers, and I put that in quotes, in the industry in a low rent hotel bar with your rendition of Pink Pony Club?
Well, I, I know that it is ridiculous, and it is, well, the term I want to use, I probably shouldn't say on a podcast, but it takes guts to do. But yeah, I've been karaokeing my entire life. I've always loved to sing. I was, in choir as a kid. I was in choir at LSU. I love to sing. I know I'm not the best singer. I tried out for American Idol. That's my fun fact. Didn't get anywhere. Like literally didn't even leave the football field. But I just went for it and I did it. And it's a proud moment I like to tell because
That's awesome.
you don't always get the spot, but you tried, and that's what I tell my kids. So, yeah, I don't know. I know I'm not the best singer in the world, but I'm gonna put it out there, and whatever. We're
Well,
roll with it.
you may not be the best singer in the world. I don't know that. I'm not saying you are or not, but what I can tell
I'm
you
not.
is that because I'm usually like the first guy to do karaoke because I'll just go do it and be an idiot because
Yes,
there's always
I
that
saw
weird
you.
moment.
I saw you at LDC, and you were
Yeah, there's
great.
always the
Very
moment where no
charismatic.
one wants. Karis, thank you. I'm not a good singer, but I can have fun with it. Especially when I'm opening up with Rebel Yell by Billy Idol, which absolutely shreds
Yes,
my voice.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't mind being that first person who's like, okay, I'll go make a buffoon out of
Oh
myself
yeah.
so other people will. And then 4 or 5 singers later, I'm outside getting a drink, and I just, whoa, what is that angelic voice I'm hearing from afar?
Yeah.
And so I was with Alex Pascal, and we waltz in, and you are with Brittany Fraze.
Okay.
Pink Pony
Yeah.
Club. So there's
hmm
that.
And
It was awesome.
she did about 150 songs that night. I only
She
came
did.
into about three or four. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I love singing karaoke, but it's super fun to kind of
It is.
bring it into our industry, which is what I'm always trying to do with my content, like how to make it relative to what we do in our industry. So yeah,
Well,
that was fun.
I think you do a great job. Did you have a good time on the podcast? Was this worth your
It
time?
was great, thank you. And I do have to
Awesome.
acknowledge my two ferns. I don't know that we
Oh,
like talked
I
about
didn't
it,
even
but
notice. You have two ferns.
oh,
I didn't even notice. How
I do,
terrible of
and
me.
they're like living their best life right now. They've gotten big, and I've kept them alive for like a month. So anyway, I decided to bring them in honor of the podcast today.
Well, I'm glad you did. And in honor of you, I'm going to read our final sponsor read here. Hey,
Okay.
kids, in 2025, your clients are looking for more than just a product with a logo on it. We know that. They're looking for an experience. They're looking for rock solid branding. And that's where our good pals over at Coaster Stone come in. That's right. They have rock solid promotions that people will not only keep, but they'll use, and they'll use it for months and years to come, and they'll help you with any product. Plus, if you're looking for pinback buttons, they're all made in the USA, which I think we all like to know right now. So, looking for some rock solid merchandise with a rock solid team, head over to coasterstonepromo.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Natalie O'Leary, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll have to
My
do it
pleasure.
again sometime.
Absolutely. Yes, we will. Thank you.